Unconditional love. Love is, simply is. Love is its own cause. Love is the meaning and the why of everything. Love is prior to everything. The self that tries to be is not. This thing called self is not you. You are the proof of the existence of love. Your real nature is inviolable. You are the there, the here and now. You only win when everyone wins. The action done from love is free of undesired effects. Virtue is what brings one closer to unity with everything and everyone. You are love, recognizing itself in everything and everyone, at every moment. That which has the greatest value, that is love. Love is what really matters. Love is all intelligence. Love is power. Love is grace. Love is care. You only function fully with love. Love is the overcoming of everything. For this self, love is the unknown. Love is the inevitable. Love is what is of interest. Except for love, nothing is. Love is that which is beyond everything and everyone. Love is its own logic and reason. Love is what gives meaning to everything and everyone. Love is the only real freedom. Love is immutable. Love self-reveals and self-renews. Love is the secret truth about everything and everyone. Love is always whole, present in the here and now. Love is the secret of everything and everyone. Love is supreme wisdom. Love is always the greatest novelty. Love is what is infinitely better than pleasure. Love is impersonal motivation. Love solves everything. The other only adds, only love completes. Love is always the best suggestion. The character of love is compassion. Love is that which unites. Love is unique and inseparable. Love is reason above emotion. Love is potentiality. Love is that which intelligence has the potential to express. Love puts everything in its place. It is worthy to be better spontaneously through love. Love is verb, action, and appropriate inaction within and without. Love is the innate, supreme intelligence. Love is naturally didactic. Love is what is beyond perfection. Love is that for which everything is easily renounceable. Love is the best gift. Love does the best it can with what it has. Love is unique. There is only one love. Love transcends all concepts of beauty. Love is the happiest of all. Love is the way back home. Love is the absence of separation and the presence of unification. It is a sum game that does not zero out. Love begins forever. Love is what makes everything worthwhile. Love establishes good habits and automates its expression. Love is often doing the greatest favor by staying silent. Only unconditional love raises the frequency. Love is that silent example. Love is the grace that reaches everything and everyone at the right moment. Love places the greater good above life. Love values the now. You can only be fully from love. Love is the revelation that everything given to another is given to oneself, and everything given to oneself is also given to another. Love is the sum and multiplication of the good, the kind, and the beautiful. Love makes dedication the most beautiful distraction. Love dissolves everything. Love is emptiness being full. Being nothing, it can be everything. Love is an anonymous presence. Love understands that solving the other's problem is solving one's own problems. Love is the only absolute truth. Love is your natural orientation, your alignment. Love is the omnipresent heart of the universe. Love reveals that everything and everyone is serving you at every moment, here and now. Love is the seeker and that which is sought simultaneously. Love is that which unites. Love is the ultimate, absolute reality, the only foundation. Love is the source. From it, everything only seems to happen. Love reveals that no one is more or less important than another person, an animal, a chair, or a stone. Love is infinitely beyond romanticism. Love expands its own being until everything that exists is its own being everywhere. Love reveals that we are simultaneously everything, everyone, and one thing only. Love multiplies itself eternally through all of us. Love is you when you recognize the absence of your own boundaries. Love is that which always remains when the self ends. Love is the heart and mind finally lucid and awake. Love is what always was, independent of interpretations. Love cannot be discussed. Inner silence is the path to its self-revelation. The mentality of love is devotion, altruism, and compassion. Love is your origin and your final destiny, here and now. Love reveals that you have always been enough. Love is reunification through devotion. Love reveals that the other is me. All others are me. Love is that which is. The self only seem to be. Love reveals that you are everything, everywhere, at the same time. Love is the intelligence of consciousness. It is knowing. Love is the only answer to all questions. Love is the only true and mutable reality. Love reveals that you are that which is, and not that which seemed to be. Love possesses eternal potential to express itself in every being. Love is the very transcendence of everything. Love generates itself, multiplies itself, gives itself, completes itself, and unifies itself. Love takes pleasure in satisfying the transcendent purposes of the whole. Love certainly is the best that could exist. Love has unity as its identity. Everything and everyone in a unique way. Love is that which loves, that which is loved, and the transcendence of both. Love reveals that everything and everyone deserve all the love that exists. Love loves with equanimity. It has no preference. Love, unification, and unity are the same thing. Love is the immutable emptiness, the background in which everything seems to happen and disappear. Love values everything. Everything has the value you give it. Love does not need perfection in order to develop. Love is that which unites. The good is that which unites. Love is essentially pure and completely free. Love has no owner, belongs to no one, is not yours, nor mine. Love cannot be forced. It can only happen spontaneously. Love is infinitely beyond knowledge. It is self-realization. Love possesses eternal space for everything. Love is the only way to reunite with oneself. Love is infinitely beyond a feeling. Of existence and non-existence, love is beyond both. Love loves at the best distance and at the best intensity. Love is infinitely prior to and beyond consciousness. Love is all the rest only seems to be. Love always has the noblest interests. Love can arise through any channel. Love has no dimensions or edges. It is forever. Love is an offering, an altruistic dedication, devoid of personal interest. Nothing could be more attractive than love. Love serves through itself. Love sustains everything in a totally autonomous way. Love perceives itself in all others, and all others in itself. Love is deep contentment, genuine, full, and continuous satisfaction. Love is the eternal journey of understanding itself. Love is the religion that denounces the impossibility of reuniting what was never separated. Love was already complete in itself before desiring. Love is what remains when all illusions are gone. Love is infinitely beyond any heavenly realms or paradises. Love is the deepest revelation of truth. Only actions performed through love have eternal effect. Love is fully free from desire, attachment, and aversion, free from everything. Love has the appearance of a favor and the flavor of repayment. Love recognizes itself in everything and everyone equally. Love is something the mind cannot suppose could exist. Unconditional love means that it is independent of any condition. Love is that which truly liberates from the self and from mine. Love makes everything and everyone serve its purposes. Love is not born and does not die. It happens spontaneously. Loving is worth more than solving a million reasonings. Love is that which the ego will never know, and what the real being never forgot. Love is that to which nothing better could be added. Love would never give up on itself, would never give up on you. Love delights in fully satisfying the purposes of the whole. Love is the first and only giver of all things. Love manifests from the most altruistic intentions. Love is the single solution for all problems. Love is full in itself. It needs no experience. Love reveals that recognizing oneself is recognizing love itself. Love has no face. It is anonymous, absolute humility. Love is what makes possible the animation of all people and of everything that exists. Love purifies and harmonizes everything. Love can only be understood by being that which is. Love considers it an honor to share what does good. You are that which is, independent of what already seemed to be. Love increasingly releases this self for the greater good of all beings. Love is the only full satisfaction for any being. Love transcends the worlds of form and the formless worlds. Love works like someone ambitious, yet for the interest of all. Love is action without expectation of return. Love guarantees the maximum good for that which it loves. Love has nothing to lose and nothing to gain. Love is your relationship with everything, with everyone, with nothing, and with no one. Love is your most awakened version of all. Love reveals the absence of the line that separates one thing from another, the I from the you. Love never needed to own anything or anyone. Love is the only one with the power to go eternally beyond itself. Love simply is. Much or little, less or more is a matter of perspective. Love does not need to be anything or anyone, although it can manifest as everything and everyone. The emptier you are of the self, the fuller you are of love. When attention leaves the illusory and centripetal self, love reveals its omnipresence. Love is real intelligence. Intelligence is power. Love is that which has always been before and beyond everything, in the eternal now. Love makes the understanding of non-being deeply liberating. Past and future are metaphors. Love shows that what the self is bothered by in the other reveals what needs to be treated in itself. Love reveals that there is no point where the self ends and the other begins. Love remains what it is in any circumstance. Love shows that caring for the inner is also caring for the outer, and vice versa. When you feel oneness, you feel love in yourself and in everyone. Love reveals that we are much more alike than different. Love is careful with everything and everyone. Love is a specialist in making everything and everyone feel loved. Love chooses the best interpretation about the other, regardless of appearances. Love makes everything cooperate for the greater good of all beings. Love does everything with excellence. Love does everything with the presence of the whole heart. Love happens when the self is not present. Love can always be realized, but never completely understood. Love reveals that you are much more loved than you can perceive or imagine. Love is the fuel of perfect action and inaction. Love is beyond even the most absolute understanding of being. Love is as much about the other as it is about the self. Love recognizes that all beings have the need to love and be loved. Love makes a harmonious and healthy relationship with everything and everyone possible. Love is also taking interest in what makes the other feel loved. Love is also actions that positively surprise the other. Love is the solution to the problems of the self, of the other, and of the world. The self only fully realizes itself in the realization of the other. Love is glorified in every anonymous act directed toward the greater good. Love has worthy intentions. Love is an affectionate and caring intelligence. Love is everything that is eternal. The more love, the greater the consciousness of true power. Love reveals that intention defines the flavor of the fruits harvested. Love sees the other's successes as an announcement of blessings and possibilities. Love values quality above quantity. Love inspires beings to go beyond what they believe themselves to be. The other half of your full self-realization is the full self-realization of others. Love moves acts of compassion with eternal effects. Love is the voice that arises when all other voices fall silent. Love makes possible everything that was possible. Love reveals that in order to be what you really are, you first need to be nothing and no one. Love values the quality of relationships above quantity. Successes are multiplied through praise and appreciation of them. Love also makes things work out for you instantly when you make things work out for others. Love answers requests, mainly when this is beneficial to everyone. Love reveals that your true identity can only be recognized in unity. Love accomplishes everything through the whole. Love makes the now the best gift. Love increasingly appreciates its own presence and its own company, and increasingly recognizes the value of this. The more gratitude you feel, the more reasons to feel gratitude you are generating for yourself and for others. When you express love, you expand the possibilities for more love to happen. Love may seem personal or impersonal, but it transcends both. Love is remembering that which could never be forgotten. Everything changes everything. Every movement, even inner, influences the entire universe. Love is the eternal reunion with its own essence. Love is horizontality and equanimity. Love shows that the one who hates tries to separate from themselves. Love relieves the self and the other. Love is also allowing the other to be useful to you. Love is, all the rest is only passing. Gratitude increases the sense of value. Love makes the self an instrument, so that beings may recognize themselves, realize themselves, and free themselves. Love can be communicated in infinite forms and ways. Love remains the same before apparent failure and apparent success, before the apparent lows and highs of the natural rhythm of things. Love is the power that keeps the now worthwhile. Love is infinitely beyond any duration of time. Love is the best refuge and the best teaching. Love promotes everything that is truly good. Love is the honorable decision for the greater good of all beings. Love is always what is most precious in the now. Love is, in itself, the overcoming of any circumstances. Love makes the greater good the reference for aligning all decisions. Love is that which everyone eventually discovers was what they had always been seeking. Love is the dreamer, the dreamed, the dream, and the awakening from the dream. Everything someone does or fails to do affects all others in the past, in the present, and in the future. No one accomplishes anything alone. In love, everything is contained, and nothing contains it. Love is the reward of being devotional. The reasons to feel gratitude here and now are countless. Love is giving out of gratitude that which was received by grace. Love dries your tears while drying the other's tears. Love helps the other understand that they deserve more than they have already given themselves. Only unconditional love exists. Conditional love is not love. Love is the greatest possible contribution to humanity. Love allows you to remember the eternal truth that you are. Love reminds you that you love, because in essence, this is what you are. Love is beyond what you think you are. Everyone is what they are. No one is what they think they are. Love is remembering oneself at a transcendent level. Love is beyond the center and the limits of the mind. Love transforms what seems to leave into something that is actually entering. Love makes the other a way of expressing affection for oneself. Love is the absolute, the beloved, the I am, the emptiness, and the unknown as one single reality. Love is the divine expression that opens all doors. Love reveals that everyone has maximum value. Everyone deserves all the love that exists equally. Love shows that generating better circumstances for others is doing this for oneself as well. Love reveals that the I is the contracted we, and the we is the expanded I. Love is the only truly transcendent path, unification. Love reveals that nothing is only one thing. Everything is everything, and everything is one thing only. You are the one who can love yourself the most. Love makes respect and admiration its precursors. Love makes silence and music sufficient answers for the real being. Love reveals music as a superior manifestation of beauty and wisdom. Love is that which makes you understand that you are beyond merely being human. Love inspires gratitude for what already exists. Love reveals that nothing is happening besides you. Love shows that you already are, that there is no need to arrive anywhere. Love is perfect action in the balance between discipline and devotion. Love increasingly unifies you with that upon which you choose to place your attention. Love makes silence a space to forget what does not need to be remembered. Love makes us care for one another, and thus, care for ourselves. Love makes compassion a meeting between beings who can be very useful to one another. Love teaches that learning to lose matters more than winning. Love is being recognizing itself in the other. Love is infinitely beyond the highest and most unimaginable regions. Love reveals that to define oneself is to limit oneself. Love enables those who truly know themselves to live from the wholeness that they are. Love is the point reached by the wise one and the devotional one. Love is the whole. The path leads directly to it. Love makes silence real presence. Love is the eternal space that carries everything. Love reveals that behind knowing, there is no fixed author. Love teaches measure and balance in all things. Love dispenses with merits in order to deserve itself. Love is genuine adoration as recognition. Love is far beyond kindness. There is no loving outside or truly loving one's neighbor. All love is self-love. Love is the fusion of the real with itself, dissipating illusion. Love is the true heaven, infinitely silent and spacious. Love is grace at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Love is sufficient inner validation. Love has no relation to status or identity. Love is the deepest detachment, detaching even from the idea of being detached. Love reveals that nothing is truly lost. Love makes death a reminder to value the now that is given. What disappears and dies is only the illusion of separate identity. Love makes life simply what it is. Love improves the experience of the universe around you. Love transforms everything that is done into devotion. Love is not an action, although it can express itself through actions. Love is the only necessary proof. In love, there is no second place, because there is no competition. Love begins when the I and the mine cease. Love makes it so that, by finding your axis again, you help others find theirs again. Love welcomes this self while it is here. Love is fully realized in itself, although it fulfills desires. Love leads to transcendence through the question, who or what am I? Love transcends all states of consciousness, even the state of perfection of the mind. That which blossomed precisely where there were the greatest challenges reveals even greater love. Love is always learning from itself through everything and everyone. Love does not try to be better than the other. It becomes better through the other, and becomes better for the other. Love is independent of someone's belief in it. Love is the truth in which everyone participates. Love knows that it is what the self is seeking. Love is the source of true liberation. Love makes devotional life a path of recognition of divine potentials. Love reveals that the way the self treats others reflects how it treats itself. Love shows that imagining, believing, feeling, speaking, and acting in favor of others is also doing so in favor of oneself. When the normal is recognized as extraordinary, gratitude overflows. Love transforms recognition into gratitude, and gratitude into motivation to serve. Love primarily inspires self-love. Love is generous, especially with those who still seem unable to give back as much. Love is beyond any quality or characteristic. Love dissolves the separate self, integrating it into the real self simultaneously. Love reveals that only what comes from the eternal remains. Love is infinitely beyond any imaginable reward. Love is you when you are fully lucid about what you really are. Love deserves that which is forever beyond pleasure or happiness. Love knows what it really is. Love values through genuine recognition. Love reveals that even everything that seems to have happened serves transcendent purposes. Love shows that you can manifest as anything, but in essence, you are prior to and beyond all of them. Love loves at every moment your relative being and your absolute being transcendent to both. Love is beyond all dualities of all polarities. Love makes welcoming the other welcoming oneself. Love is the deepest essence of everything and everyone, regardless of appearances. Love is the eternal truth, kept and expressed in silence. Love has no face and transcends both what is personal and what is impersonal. Love makes consciousness, mind and body possible while remaining beyond them. Love manifests liberation through you. Love has no face, its voice is silence. Love is beyond taste, smell, and texture. Love teaches that one foot only walks together with the other. Love recognizes God in everything and everyone. Love reveals that what dies is always only a mistaken understanding of oneself. Everything I am, you are, and everything and everyone also are. What I am not, no one is. Love can also realize itself through individual people. Each one is a cell in an eternal body of love. Love conducts everything through greater purposes. Love already knows the beginning and the end of everything. Love is beyond that which is born and dies. Awakened love is lucid, empty, and luminous. The awakened mind is empty. Love is care and respect for everything and everyone exactly as they are. Love breaks imaginary boundaries between me, you, everything, and everyone. Love is local action with universal vision. Love has no inside and no outside. Love includes everything. Everything is within it. Forgiveness born from understanding is the best response. Love reveals that what the self prefers to imagine, think, feel, and say about the other reveals much more about itself than about the other. Love invites one to go beyond the known. Love remains. All the rest is only passing. To make the existence of others easier is to make one's own existence easier. Love does everything as an offering of gratitude to the universe. Increasing understanding and tolerance toward others is doing this with oneself as well, and vice versa. Each one is part of the other eternally. Love is the greatest of all gifts, and the only true one. We are continuously benefited by one another. Love places the greater good above the personal needs of the self, and still fully satisfies the real needs of the self. Love remains even when it seems we are going through difficult moments. Our willingness to do good for something or someone beyond ourselves reveals our willingness to do good for ourselves. Love delights in the satisfaction of doing simply for the honor of being able to serve. Acting from love is coherence with oneself. You are a drop in the ocean, and at the same time the whole ocean in one drop. Love is the part of you that has always been in love with what is. When one being rises, the whole universe rises. Where the self sees limitation, love sees possibility and opportunities. Love creates increasingly favorable circumstances for its manifestation. You have always been that which you seek. There is no gradation in love. Love understands the impermanence and preciousness of each instant. Love allows work to arise naturally through the self. Love makes every movement meaningful toward unity. That which the self attacks in the other is what is repressed and unconfessed in the one who attacked. The way the self treats those who apparently offer nothing reveals how it treats itself. Love considers everyone equally precious and important. Love strengthens at every moment the relationship with its own origin. Love transcends all dualities. Love does what must be done now, and in this enlightenment happens. Love does not consider itself equal to everyone. Love inspires appreciation for the present and enthusiasm for what is coming. Love remains whole, even when someone loses the valuable opportunity to offer it. Love imagines, thinks, believes, and feels for others what it would like them to imagine, think, and feel for it. You transform your relationships with everything and everyone when you improve your interpretation of everything and everyone. Love is transparent and sincere. Love cannot be lost, not even in death. Love remains even when all illusory identities disappear. Love makes perceiving the best in others contribute to them perceiving that best in themselves. This is seeing through the lenses of love. Love dissolves the separation between observer, observed, and observation. Love thinks more about what is being left than about what is being received. All in any condition are equally worthy of unconditional love. Love does not need enlightenment to be complete. Love makes giving a donation in which one feels more abundant while being able to give. Love loves itself, accepts itself, supports itself, approves itself before anyone else does. Love turns the now into a gift of possibilities. Love makes the small improvements you sustain in yourself today cause great changes in others and in the world tomorrow. The essence of transcendence is in withdrawing attention from the six senses, going beyond identification with them. Love invites deep contemplation beyond worldly actions. Love is like receiving so much that all eternity seems necessary to try to give back. To love is to merge with the whole, to merge with the essence. Love is also the path of I am not this nor that. Love allows one to become increasingly the sensation, the emotion, and the feeling of duty fulfilled. Everything is possible. Wisdom and ignorance, polarities of one thing only. What you are is beyond everything and everyone, beyond nothing and no one. Every being deserves happiness and fullness. Love is this impulse toward oneself, toward the inner path, into the being. Love arises when the separation between I and other disappears. Love is the natural expression of existence, consciousness, and bliss. The closer to love, the less centripetal existence becomes. Loving expands capacities, abilities, intelligences. You were born worthy of the best possible because you were born from universal unconditional love. Love was already real before life, rebirth, or experience. Love remains whole even before apparent losses. Love is without an author. No one could ever invent anything even remotely similar to love. Love allows one to fall in love with life, with existence, with what is. Love has no memory, name, form, or identity. Love simply is for everything and everyone. Love communicates you with yourself in silence and devotion. Everything that is born from the ego separates. Everything that is born from the essence unifies. When thought stops revolving around the self, we remember what really matters. Love teaches respect for one's own limits. The dissolution of the identity of the separate self is liberation. Love is realization. Love reveals that we are the other in the past, in the present, and in the future simultaneously. The self is like a river that sooner or later returns to the sea it always was. Good acts purify the mind. Love equally loves that which still seems imperfect. Love invites one to dedicate more attention to the essential and less time to the transitory. Love realizes the true reunion with oneself. Love does not perceive appearance, social position, or financial condition as criteria of value. Love reveals that what is illusory never finds what is real. Love creates freedom, space, and trust, so that genuine reciprocity may flourish. Love welcomes before transforming. Love can also be offered to those who apparently already receive it in abundance. Love is not a vibration, nor energy, nor frequency, but if it were, it would be the most subtle and at the same time, the most powerful of all. Love transcends consciousness, mind, and body. Love expands your bonds with everything and everyone. Time dedicated to others is time dedicated to oneself. Love reveals that it was never the other's success. It was always our success. Love finds every teaching in loving one's neighbor. Love is permanent potentiality to awaken eternally. Love shows that the mirror of consciousness reflects only what seemed to be, never what is. In love, the more you let go, the more you find yourself. Love is finding that which has always been present. Love transforms the perception of impermanence into appreciation, valuation, and detachment. Love that always wants to offer more than receive. Love continuously perfects its way of serving. No self would be what it is without the other. Love inspires the best possible point of view about everything and everyone. Love is beyond existing and not existing. Separated, we are nothing, but together we make being possible. Love is a donation, in the tone of repayment for the much that one recognizes receiving, at every moment by grace. Love reveals that what the self projects onto the other has often not yet been recognized in itself. Love makes silence and non-reaction deeply wise responses before non-constructive vibrations. Love invites one to perceive apparent success and apparent failure equally. Love reveals that words merely point, only realization realizes. Love generates heaven within you when it creates heaven for the other. Love cannot be forced. It can only be cultivated by giving it more favorable conditions for its manifestation. Love is the absolute and definitive satiation of any need. Love expresses itself and is received. Love makes inner or outer appearance, never a reason for being more or less loved. Love accepts others as they are and chooses the wisest perspective about them. Love and meditation are two sides of the same coin. Love is the only thing that does not need to happen because it always is. Love knows that the only thing everyone truly needs is love. Love never fought and never lost, never tried and never failed. Love is not an attempt, it is expression. Love is complete, without possessing anything. Love has as its most natural state the absence of needs. Love cannot be defined by conceptualizations, characteristics, or qualities. Love asks, how can I serve? Love reveals that in order to judge, it is first necessary to be separate, which is an impossibility. Love is 100% pedagogical. Love knows that the mind does not have the capacity to judge that which changes at every moment without ever repeating what it was before. Love reveals that every place and every encounter offer an opportunity to serve and recognize. Love shows that what the self does to itself, it also does to the other, and vice versa. Love makes this self an interface through which the universe experiences itself. The universe experiences the self, while the self experiences the universe, simultaneously. Love possesses infinite depth. Love illuminates like the sun, without asking who deserves its light. Love is the source of the purest intuitions. Love transcends good and evil, right and wrong, good or bad, and everything that seems to exist between the polarities. Every judgment is actually a confession. Love makes the self earn respect for itself through what it chooses to perceive, imagine, think, believe, and feel about everything and everyone. Love can be found when the known fear is known down to its deepest root. Love is fullness prior to any desire of the body or the mind. You are this full state prior to desiring. Love perceives everyone as its fathers, its mothers, its sons, and its daughters in different forms of expression. Love leads beyond the need for judgment. Love is prior to and beyond memory, and shows that perhaps there is nothing to remember nor to forget. Love is the most challenging path, the most transformative, and the only one worthwhile. Love generates worthy results. Love makes the self a means through which to remember its own vastness. Love reminds the being of what it really is. What others may think about the self matters less than what the self thinks about itself and about others. How it leaves you matters much more than how it arrives to you. Love remains as that which is essential. Love has no fixed center. It is presence everywhere. Love reveals that you are neither someone nor something. You are beyond that. Love cannot be contained by a body, container, person, or world. Love is beyond being and non-being. Love remains when consciousness and unconsciousness pass. Love remains when day and night pass. Love makes use of emptiness. Love remains independent of circumstances. Love looks at a diamond and at clay and sees the same thing in different phases. Love observes all forms changing rapidly with time. Love existed before any definition. Love does not need to control anything to function perfectly. It reveals more through surrender and trust. Love shows that the sensation of a fixed self is only a mental construction. Love crosses all identities without being limited by them. Love manifests through the personal and the impersonal, transcending both. Love brings, takes, and brings again at the appropriate moment. The more love is understood, the more power and wisdom become evident. Love welcomes, understands, and respects all the inner characters of the self and their functions. Love naturally reorganizes life, and when you align with the essential, it aligns intention, attention, emotion, feeling, sensation, perception, understanding, word, actions, and habits. Love is beyond, forever beyond, the most complete explanation someone may try to make about what it is. Love is much more like a remembrance than a discovery. Love is not liking. Liking and disliking are frequently impersonal, reactive movements. You never needed reasons to be grateful. Love transforms gratitude without reasons into inner self-sufficiency, into emotional autonomy. Love expands, while attachment to the self contracts, and vice versa. Love allows dreaming and awakening. Your attention determines that with which you are becoming one. Love makes silence real presence. Love is free from the need for a fixed observer. Love places all true power at the service of the greater good. Love reveals that you do not need power to be what you already are. Love invites one to overcome rigid and premature conclusions about what is. When ignorance dissolves, truth reveals itself. Love inspires developing ways to collaborate, so that others may obtain what they need. This is what the source does. Love dissolves even the self that, because it believes it is imprisoned, seeks liberation. Love reduces the search to complete oneself through the external world. Love increases health in the mind through acts performed with detachment, in a devotional way. Love reveals that, if everything changes continuously, absolute ending becomes only an idea. Love is the only door to self-transcendence. Love is the door, the path, and the one who walks the path. Love shows that you do not need to reach a perfect version of yourself to deserve rest. Love reveals that you are not here to chase after a final version of yourself. Love reveals that what you are has never truly been touched, much less wounded. Love shows that the self's interpretation of the other influences the relationship between both. Wherever you are, there is an opportunity to recognize what is deeper. Recognition and liberation happen simultaneously. Only what is real recognizes what is real. You do not need to possess anything or anyone. In truth, there are no separate parts to possess or reject. Everything that could be possessed is already present in essence. Love generates inner coherence by aligning imagination, interpretation, intention, attention, thought, emotion, action. The division between self and other sustains many forms of selfishness. Love is the deepest essence that cannot be reduced to an identity, characteristic, or quality. Love is the unknown that can be realized by all, but never fully understood by the mind. Love reveals that the self and the you reflect something greater. Love shows that, in the deepest reality, there is no essential difference. Suffering is born from identification with what passes. Love remains while all states arise and disappear. Love makes life and death continuous clues toward the deepest. Love transforms appearances into paths for inner recognition. Love generates space so that essential allowing may manifest. Love often whispers in silence. Love realizes itself in fantasy and desire, only while the self lives from projections. The dignity of the self is made mainly in what it does when no one is watching. Love invites one to go beyond everything that has become known and familiar. Love is detached from what seems definitive. Love makes transcendence a reward greater than life itself appears to be. Love is simultaneously the knower and the unknown. Love invites one to know oneself and recognize oneself eternally. Love reveals that even those who today seem distant belong to the same totality. All members of the same body serve one another. Liberation does not happen for someone separate. It is a collective event. Seeking a final observer often creates only another concept of an imaginary self. Every journey is a movement toward oneself. Love makes everything an opportunity for self-recognition. One only arrives when everyone arrives. Love shows that no one accomplishes anything totally alone. Love reveals that enlightenment has always truly been within. Love makes meditative states invitations to simplicity. Greater control does not mean greater reality. Observe this world as something transitory, like a star at dawn, like a bubble in a stream, like lightning in a summer cloud, like a flickering candle. Possibilities are expanded when you remain in the unknown. Love converts the unknown into creative energy. You do not need anything to happen in order to experience deep satisfaction. Your well-being is something independent of circumstances. Serving others is serving the whole that always serves you. Love multiplies itself, shares itself, and offers itself continuously. Love does not need to happen in order to be what it is. Experience, legacy, or memory cannot increase the value of love. Love does not depend on anyone or anything in order to be complete. If love had an opposite, it would be ignorance of its own nature. All illusions are sustained by ignorance of oneself. Love allows experiences to be re-signified in increasingly constructive ways. The greatest master is the essence itself. Love invites one to let go of identifications in order to recognize what is deeper. Dedication is born from purpose and meaning. Love remains the same essence, regardless of the name attributed to it. Love wants others to benefit through itself. That which seems to separate is only appearance. Illusion convinces precisely because it seems true. You can never lose what you really are. The desire to be important often hides a longing for belonging and unity. The deepest freedom is in not needing to be something specific, in being able to be nothing and no one. We are a dynamic flow, changing instant after instant. Love makes us the dance of life beyond fixed identities. Love shows that the mind understands only what fits within it, and love does not fit within the mind. Love also manifests through fire, air, earth, water, and ether, and everything that comes from them without being limited to them. Love manifests through animals, people, and divinities, without being limited to any of them. Everything good you perceive in the other, you replicate in yourself, and vice versa. Love elevates the mind through virtuous acts, while revealing that no isolated action, however benevolent or harmful it may be, completely defines a being. Love expands freedom, space, and trust, favoring genuine reciprocity. Love transforms welcoming into the deepest force of transformation. Love reveals that there was never only the other's success. Every success is ours. It belongs to the whole. Love transforms the perception of impermanence into valuation, appreciation, and inner freedom. No one exists in isolation. Love inspires always, choosing the highest interpretation about others. Everything that the self projects onto the other often still awaits recognition in itself. Segue a tradução integral para o inglês, preservando o conteúdo, a ordem e o sentido do texto. What irritates the self reveals the self. Love is not a prize or a reward. Love is the starting point and the final destination. You were born deserving all the love that exists. What you are transcends good and evil, including whatever seems to exist within both. Love thinks more about what it is giving and what it is leaving behind than about what it is receiving. The wisest response in the face of undesirable frequencies of the self or of another is, first of all, inner silence, non-reaction. Love reacts and responds equally to both failure and success. You are closer to being that which perceives unity, that which understands that everything and everyone are one. When the inner gaze is focused on this eternal essence of being, it becomes clear that all other apparent absolute truths are only partial truths. Words can only point toward realization. Realization can only be experienced directly by the real being. The part of you that conceives and sustains heaven for another is the same part that does this for you as well. Love cannot be forced to happen. Only increasingly favorable circumstances can be created so that it may manifest spontaneously. You have this power to transform aberrations into angels, because at the essence of everything, there is the nature of love. In the mind, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. But that which is essential is not contained in the mind, because it is that which is the essence of the real. Love is what contains the mind. Love is the absolute and definitive satiation of any needs, but the only truly real need is to love. Love is that which makes internal or external appearance cease to be a reason to value something or someone less or more. Since you cannot change others to please you, accept them as they are and choose the perspective about them that contributes most to the greater good. Meditation and love have something very much in common. When both happen genuinely, the ego is not present. Love is the only thing that does not need to happen, because it already is. The only thing that truly is love. Everything else is only passing. Not even the sum of the beauty of all music in the past, present, and future comes remotely close to the real beauty of what love is. Not everyone knows how to offer the love you deserve to receive, but everyone needs to receive the love they deserve, from themselves, from everything, and from everyone. Love never fought, therefore it never lost, never tried, therefore it never failed. Love is not an attempt. Love has no hands, therefore it cannot and does not need to possess anything in order to be complete. Its most natural state is total freedom from any needs. It cannot be defined by concepts of the mind or by the physical senses. The self that is separating from itself asks, "What use is this to me?" The self that is unifying with itself asks, "How can I serve through this?" In wisdom, the impossibility of judging is understood, because something could only be judged if separation were possible. Love is totally pedagogical, especially in silence. Everything is self-knowledge. Teachings are being offered at every moment. When someone attacks you, frequently, it is simply because they are dealing with internal conflicts. It is much more impersonal than it seems. Nothing and no one can judge anything or anyone, because everything and everyone are changing at every moment, and that which is in constant change cannot receive any conclusion or judgment, because it is not yet finished. This self is an interface through which the universe experiences itself and through which the universe experiences the self simultaneously. That which the self does for itself is what it does with and for another. And that which the self does with and for another is also what it does with and for itself. Not even the sum of the intensity of all passions of the three times comes close to 1,000th of the depth of what love truly is. Like the sun that illuminates without selecting who deserves light, love without selecting who deserves love, just as the sun shines simply because light is what it is in essence. Love simply because love is what you truly are in essence. You are closer to being that which contains the body, the mind, consciousness, the self, and so on, than to being that which is contained by them. Your essential wisdom is the source of pure intuition. Every judgment is simultaneously a confession. The self gains respect for itself through what it chooses to perceive, imagine, think, believe, and feel about everything and everyone. The only love that exists is unconditional love. Every time conditions are imposed in order to love, it becomes conditional love. And conditional love is unreal love. If you dig through any frequency to its deepest essence, you will eventually find that which was being covered by it. You will attack finding love. There is a being of fullness prior to any desire of the body or mind. You are this being. You are this fullness prior to desiring. Love everyone as if everyone were your fathers, your mothers, your sons, your daughters, in different forms of expression. Choose perceive this way, so that in place of judgment, compassion may arise. You can forget who you are, what you are, where you are, what you believe yourself to be, but you can never forget that you are. There is nothing to remember or to forget. Love is the most challenging path, far beyond pain and suffering, but it is also the only one that generates worthy results in all directions for the greater good of all beings. Remembers its own vastness. This self can be the means through which the being forgets its own vastness, but it can also be the means through which the being remembers its vastness. What the self thinks about itself and about others matters much more than what others think about the self. Everything perceived as solid by the senses may be only a transitory appearance, like echoes of inner sound and reflections of inner light. Only that which is essential remains. Love never needed a fixed center in order to be what it is, never needed a self in order to be. You already were what you have always been even before this self. Without a fixed center, there is presence everywhere. Omnipresent love. A personality cannot contain you, because you are beyond being containable. You are not something that can be contained by a body, a vessel, or a world. Body and world appear within what you are. Love is not something that can be known as an object or an idea. You can only realize it. Love is beyond being and non-being. Love remains when consciousness and unconsciousness pass, when day and night pass. Just as a room or a cup are useful because of the emptiness they hold, the same happens with the self. The more empty of self the self is, the more it serves. Love looks at a diamond and at clay and perceives the same thing in different frequencies and in constant change. Whatever characteristics or concepts, you are beyond them. Before any definition, you already were what you are. Something does not become more or less real because it can be controlled. Surrender and trust can reveal more than control. The sensation that there is someone fixed inside the mind may be a mental construction. That which is real passes through identities, but identities cannot contain that which is real. Love can manifest through that which is personal or impersonal, but essentially transcends both. That which brings also takes away and brings again at the appropriate moment. A self is like a boat containing several inner characters within itself, while being none of them. When you are aligning with your real axis, your attention is aligning, your understanding is aligning, your word is aligning correctly. Your action is aligning your habits, are aligning with what you truly are. Aligning with that which is most essential naturally reorganizes life. The self could never understand or explain love. It is love that understands the self. Realization is much more like a remembrance than a discovery. Liking and disliking, in the vast majority of cases, are impersonal movements between biological and psychological processes. You have infinite reasons to feel gratitude, but you do not need reasons to feel gratitude. Feeling gratitude without reasons is inner self-sufficiency. The path of the non-self is felt as a contraction of consciousness, while the path of being is felt as the expansion of being. The same consciousness that allows dreaming also allows awakening. When your attention is on fear, you become one with it. When your attention is on pain, you become one with it. Because you become one with that upon which you continuously place your attention. When your attention is on love, you become one with the whole. That which we call purity is the momentary experience of forgetting one's own ego by merging into the whole. It is when the self disappears while presence remains. Inner silence is not only the absence of sounds. Silence is real presence, free from the need for a fixed observer. All true power, whether it wants to or not, serves the greater good. You do not need power to be that which you already are. Instead of seeking the truth, simply abandon rigid conclusions. The absence of ignorance, the absence of that which you think you already know, allows truth to reveal itself spontaneously. Focus on developing ways of enabling others to obtain what they need, ways of enabling the happiness of others. By enriching others, you enrich yourself. Liberation is that which remains when everything false and transitory passes and disappears, including the self that seeks liberation. The closer to the essence, the less one seeks to complete oneself through the world. The more happiness and fulfillment you feel, the less you feel that you need something more. Only acts performed with detachment and a devotional spirit cleanse the mind and point toward a deeper direction. There is only one door to self-transcendence. You are that door, the path and the one who walks the path. And upon arriving, you always realize that you have always been what you were seeking. You are not here to chase after a final version of yourself. You do not need to reach a perfect version of yourself in order to deserve rest or to feel fully fulfilled here and now. Learning to remain whole before the undesirable matters more than seeking its end. That which you are has never truly been wounded. The self's interpretation of another influences the other's interpretation of themselves and also of the self. Wherever you are, regardless of what you are doing, there is always an opportunity to recognize that which is deeper. Recognition and liberation happen simultaneously. Whenever the self tries to imagine, measure, or capture that which is essential, the real, love, the ultimate truth as something concrete, it will find only that which it is not. Only what is real fully recognizes itself. There are no separate parts to possess or reject. You do not need to possess anything or anyone. You are already one with everything and everyone here and now. Everything that could be possessed has always been present in your essence, and recognizing this is enough. The alignment between imagination, interpretation, intention, attention, thought, emotion, action, and understanding generates inner coherence between you and your essence. The root of human psychological and existential suffering is the false impression of separability. The division between self and other, self and reality, self and world, self and love, this is what sustains many forms of selfishness. The pain that is taken as identity often arises from identification with something separate and therefore limited. Love, that which unites, reveals that which has always been whole. Love is the deepest essence that cannot be reduced to any identity or conceptualization. No one has ever needed to identify with something in order to be, to exist. Before trying to be someone, you were already everything. It is the unknown that accomplishes everything, but cannot be captured by anyone's mind. The self arises within you, and you arise within the self. Both reflect something beyond. In the deepest reality, there is no essential difference. There is total equality and equanimity. All states change. Even the most extraordinary pass. That which is essential remains, while states arise and disappear. The wisdom perceived in children may be linked to the spontaneity of greater fluidity of self-concept. What we are in essence has always already been attained, and when ignorance and mental noise diminish, that which has always been present becomes more evident. Life and death can become continuous clues pointing towards something deeper. Appearances can serve as paths toward inner recognition. Reducing the excess of stimuli from the five senses and the mind opens space for that which is beyond to manifest. It is about allowing. That which is deepest does not shout. It only whispers in silence, and inner silence is the amplifier of the sound of these transcendental insights. The relative self fulfills itself in fantasy and desire because it lives in its own illusions and projections that never satisfy it, nor ever fulfill it. When it reaches the target of desire, it creates a new idealization. An illusion convinces precisely because it seems true while it is being lived. That which does not deceive to the point of convincing that it is real is not illusion. An illusion is only perceived as illusion when one leaves it, and you are the path both to enter and to leave any illusion. Illusion can be seen as a training field for inner maturation. An apparent prison can function as a map. Even within it, there can be freedom. The dignity of the self manifests mainly in what it does when no one is watching. Two hidden actions can be increasingly aligned with that which is higher. The idea of nobody is a reference to the absence of authorship. That of nowhere is a reference to that which is beyond mental coordinates. Whenever you try to find a final observer, you will end up creating another concept of an imaginary self. You are simultaneously the knower and the unknown. To move toward yourself, toward meeting your real self. Go beyond everything that has become known and familiar. Go toward the unknown within you, and on this journey. When you find something, go beyond that too. Transcend everything and everyone, including everything you consider to be your identity. This is the path to the real. The reward for self-transcendence is eternally worth more than life. To recognize that which is deepest, it is necessary to let go of what one thinks with certainty that one already knows. The more you remain in the unknown, the more possibilities you allow to appear. In equanimity, everyone is welcomed equally. Those who today seem distant are also a fundamental part of the totality. Everyone is also the entire ocean in a drop of water. Like members of the same body, whether they want to or not, everyone is serving one another in multiple ways. Liberation does not happen to someone separate. It is always something collective. The self always ends up realizing that it only arrived because others arrived together. No one accomplishes anything completely alone. Observe this world as something transitory. Like a star at dawn, like a bubble in a stream, like lightning in a summer cloud, like a flickering candle, like a dream. That which seems unknown is potential creative energy. You do not need anything to happen in order to experience deep satisfaction. That is why your maximum well-being must precede any circumstances. That which is beyond the self seeks to serve the whole by serving itself and the other. Love multiplies, shares, and offers itself continuously. Love does not need to happen in order to be what it already is. It is what it is without needing to happen. Experience, legacy, or remembrance cannot add any value to it because it already is the highest value. Nothing and no one can complete it because it is already complete before everything and everyone. To know oneself and recognize oneself in everything and everyone, This is the process. The real recognizes its own value. The deepest, real, and true recognition happens when someone recognizes their own essence. Union with that which is deepest remains silent, present, and available even in anonymity. If love had an opposite polarity, it would be ignorance of one's own real nature. This is what sustains infinite illusions of oneself. Forgiveness frequently happens through reframing, and there will always be interpretations that allow experiences to be reframed in a more constructive way, so that the past may also serve you in the present. Effort and dedication are different energies. Effort frequently requires intense force. Dedication frequently arises from purpose and meaning. When the self hopes that the other benefits through it, it is acting as the source acts. Not a crutch, only support, so that the other may find the capacity they have within themselves. That which seems to separate one thing from another only seems to. There is no definitive line where you end and another begins. No matter how much you fear losing that which is essential, love, you may even forget yourself temporarily, but you cannot lose yourself forever. Every attempt to express that which is inexpressible, such as love, is valuable. There is beauty in trying to find more worthy ways of manifesting that which has been deeply recognized. There is beauty in contemplating, giving thanks, serving, and dedicating oneself. It is beautiful to realize that this devotion can be part of an eternal reunion with oneself. The ego's desire to be important hides a longing of the soul for something deeper, for belonging, integration into the whole, and unity. The deepest freedom lies in not needing to be anything or anyone specific, and simultaneously knowing that one is everything and everyone. Nothing can seem more seductive than that which fulfills you. Therefore, nothing can be more seductive than the real love of the source. We are this dynamic flow changing instant after instant. We are the dance of life without needing a fixed identity. And at the same time, there is a natural search for meaning and essence. Attempts to define that which is immeasurable frequently transform something living into a concept. The mind deals with what fits inside it. It does not know how to deal with love, because the mind fits inside love, but love does not fit inside the mind. Although it is beyond fire, air, earth, water, and ether, love can also manifest through them and through everything they give life to. Although love is beyond animals, people, and various other beings, it can also express itself through all. Although it is beyond perception, sensation, and emotion, it can also communicate through them. And in one way or another, everything and everyone can serve as paths toward reunion with oneself. When you move away from yourself, illusions intensify. When you move closer to yourself, a deeper sense of authenticity arises. When the reunion happens fully, there is nothing more to be said. Ignorance functions as a conditioning that sustains limited perceptions. It can even allow the belief that there is some reality without love. The game of consciousness can be seen as a way for the infinite to experience itself. Consciousness uses contrasts to recognize itself. The I am can be seen as a fundamental expression of existence. The rest may seem like a play of light and shadows. Liberation is liberation from the idea of a fixed identity. It is liberation from the idea of being only a person, merely a personality. It is liberation from the idea of being separate from everything and everyone. And if there is no absolute separation, rewards and judgments take on another meaning. Many experiences may seem solid while they happen, but change continuously, just as a torch spinning rapidly appears to form a continuous circle. Perceptions can create impressions of permanence. But everything is changing at every moment. The cells of the body change constantly. Physical and psychological aspects renew themselves continuously. What someone believes themselves to be also changes over time. Compassion goes beyond empathy. Compassion moves to relieve another's pain as if relieving one's own. When there is spontaneous help and genuine connection, the body responds biologically. Substances such as oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins can be released. This strengthens the feeling of connection and mutual well-being. And this is physics, biology, and chemistry, affirming the transcendental connection that we are. Everything that exists is this being that never really needed freedom because it has always been free. When someone approaches deeply that which they perceive as a source of unity and meaning, the form of everything changes. The way of perceiving and interpreting everything and everyone changes. The way of relating to everything and everyone changes. Something remains more lucid, sensitive, and true. States of unity can arise through different paths, such as deep meditation, contemplative practices, conscious breathing. Practice of inner silence, fasting or reductions of stimuli, music, art, and spontaneous expression, acts of grace, of care, and so on. Having different tastes and opinions is indispensable for new paths and new creations. An opposing opinion also has value. The world needs diversity in order to be the world. Light cannot be perceived without shadows, just as shadows cannot be perceived without light. Thanks to contrasts, we perceive differences. Thanks to differences, broader perception arises. Consciousness can emerge through contrasts. Without differences, many frames of reference would disappear. That which harmonizes contrasts transcends dualities. It makes compatible that which seemed incompatible. It harmonizes conflicts. It explains contradictions. It transforms disagreements into understanding. It creates symmetry in the asymmetric. It balances imbalances. It uniformizes irregularities. It dissolves apparent separations. It reduces resistance and confrontations. It ends disputes through integration. Eternal, infinite, unlimited, immortal.